You're going to make Salat al-Eid in Musalla yourself? Salat al-Eid. It's going to be in the Musalla outside?
Outside.
Where outside? Tennis court?
Yeah.
Is it big enough?
Yeah, it's good size. Good size, yeah.
It's not a lot of people come, 5,000, 6,000, doesn't it?
I don't know what the number
We have too many people.
Huh? We don't have too many. Huh?
We have too many people here.
We don't have many people.
There's 2 courts, isn't it?
2 courts.
Yeah, yeah. And the sister.
So am I talking right numbers, 5,000? No, you don't have that number.
5,000.
500?
Around that region, I'll say.
Yeah.
Around that region.
That's very small then.
Yeah, around that region. So it's like
What time do you, your khutbah starts? Huh?
8.
Okay. خير إن شاء الله.
the lifestyle.
الله المستعان. We're going to start when you are ready, inshallah. Ready? Okay, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Indeed, all praises due to Allah, and my peace and blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. This is a reminder for myself, a reminder for the brothers, especially the ones who are online. And so many people now at the moment, they are with their family, making the dua and the adhkar and takbir, and rightly so, and waiting to break their fast. And I believe most of us are fasting, and it is actually one of those long days in the year. But alhamdulillah, Allah helps. As we have said that those days, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ما من أيام العمل الصالح فيها أحب إلى الله من هذه الأيام. There is no other days upon which the good deeds are performed are better and dearer to Allah than those deeds which are performed on these days, meaning the first 10 days. قالوا يا رسول الله. They said, Messenger of Allah, ولا الجهاد في سبيل الله. Even they are better than the jihad in the sake of Allah. He said, yes, even the jihad for the sabilillah is not as good as the deeds that's done in those days, except for something which is very rare can happen. A person who goes with his wealth and his self, put himself in danger for the sake of Allah in jihad, and he returns with neither, meaning he loses his wealth for the sake of Allah and also he becomes a martyr. Then this is the only person who is better than the person who performs good deeds on those days. First 10 days of the Hijjah are better than the last 10 nights of Ramadan, because the Prophet ﷺ said so. There's some ijtihad thing that's going between the scholars regarding the night of Al-Qadr. So some of them, they said that the deeds which are performed during the nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan are to be better than the deeds which are done during the nights of the first 10 days of the Hijjah. But that's ijtihad. Whereas the deeds done during the days of the first 10 days of the Hijjah are better in the sight of Allah than the deeds which are done during the days of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. But the Prophet of Allah said, Ma min ayyam. There's no other days upon which the good deeds are performed than the days of those first 10 days of Hijjah. So if you perform deeds in the first 10 days of Hijjah, dear to Allah. Then those days, if those deeds to be performed somewhere else, they're not going to be as dear. So we need to increase in on all types of ibadah. And today is the 9th day. Ibadah is like takbir, tahmeed, tahleel. Abu Hurairah, Abdullah ibn Umar used to go in the market and make takbir to encourage the people to make the takbir. Also fasting for those who are not pilgrims. Today, the day of Arafah, the day upon which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends down to forgive for His people, as we have mentioned last week. A day that Allah He called it mashhud, wa shahidu wa mashhud, by the witnessing and the witness day. The witnessing is the day of Jumu'ah, and the witnessed day is the day of Arafah. The day of Arafah was witnessed by the angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends down, descendants which is suitable to His Majesty, and He would forgive for all His slaves and for those they intercede on their behalf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ, by the odd and by the even, or by the even and the odd. The odd here, the 9th. The even is the 10th. So the Hujjaj, you find them staying in Arafah, raising up their hands, calling upon Allah. And Allah's Messenger, he said, there is no other day upon which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala frees people from the hellfire more than He does on the day of Arafah. Allah chose this day to speak to Musa alayhi salam directly. وَوَعَدْنَا مُوسَى 30 لَيْلَةً وَأَتْمَمْنَاهَا بِعَشْرٍ. So Allah, He had spoke to Musa alayhi salam. And also on this day, Allah completed His religion. Jewish man, Ka'b ibn Mata, who did not embrace Islam at the time of the Prophet, so he doesn't make him companion. He embraced Islam later on. He's a rabbi, a learned person. And at the time of the Caliphate, Umar came to him, he said, leader of the believers, a verse in your book. In your book, that means it's not in the book of his. He's not a Muslim. A verse in your book. If it's to be revealed to us, the Jews, that means it's Jewish. We would have taken the day upon which it was revealed as a celebration day. Al-Khattabi said, which verse it is? He said, the verse is, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today, I have completed for you your religion, and I have accomplished for you my favors, and I chose Islam to be your religion. So this ayah, if we look at it, it's actually not in the first chapter of the Quran, not in Fatiha, not in Al-Baqarah, not in Al-Imran, not in Nisa. You go into Al-Ma'idah. So this person, he must be flicking through the Quran and reading until he was fascinated with this verse, captured with this verse. And it's not the verse which is in the first verse of that chapter, which is Surah Al-Ma'idah. It's actually verse number 3. Not only that, it is not at the beginning of the verse, it's in the second third of the verse. The verse starts with حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةِ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ. So this is the verse starts with, and then it continues and it says اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. And that is not the end of the verse. فمن اضطر غير باغ ولا عاد أو فمن اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف لإثم فإن الله غفور رحيم. So this is a verse being captured by this Jewish man because he read the Quran, and he's saying to Umar, if this verse was to be revealed to us the Jews, definitely the day upon which it was revealed, it will be a day of celebration. Every year we'll celebrate it. Today I completed for you your religion, and I accomplished for you my favors, and I chose Islam to be your religion. So he said to him, I remember the verse, and I remember where it was revealed, when it was revealed, and where the Prophet ﷺ was. It was revealed on a day of Jumu'ah, and it happened to be the day of Arafah, when the Prophet ﷺ was in Arafah. And the Prophet Allah was in Arafah only in the day of his Hajj, which is the Hajjat al-Wada', the only Hajj that the Prophet Allah performed. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was in Arafah on that day, happens to be raising up his hands, the day of Arafah, and happens to be a day of Jumu'ah, which is double feast day, as Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, نَزَلَتْ فِي يَوْمِ عِيدَيْن. This verse was sent down or revealed on a double feast day, double celebration day, Jumu'ah and the day of Arafah. So this is why it is recommended for us to fast today as non-pilgrims, because the pilgrims it is for them Eid, celebration. And they need to have some food in order to make an effort to make the dua. And none of the companions or the Sahaba, the Prophet ﷺ had himself fasted the day of Arafah when he was in Hajj. So it is recommended for those who are not Haji. For those who are non-pilgrims, Prophet ﷺ, he said, صِيَامُ يَوْمِ عَرَفَ يُكَفِّرُ سَنَتَيْن. Fast in the day of Arafah, it will expiate 2 years, a year in the past and a year in the future. The Prophet ﷺ's companions, they were not sure. Did the Prophet of Allah, was the Prophet ﷺ fasting on the day of Arafah? So they were disputing, and the Prophet of Allah is in Arafah. Some of them, they said he's fasting. Some of them, no, he's not fasting. So what happened is the wife of Al-Abbas, Al-Fadl, she sent a cup of water, so a cup of milk I should say, and it was mixed with a bit of water, shiba bima, to the Prophet ﷺ while he was on top of his camel in Arafah. She can't argue with the men, she cannot basically differ with them because she's a woman, but she wanted to settle the argument by her cleverness and smartness, sending this cup. If the Prophet of Allah was fasting, he will not drink it. And if he's not fasting, he will drink it. So when the cup he received it, he was on top of the camel, he drank it. So, I mean, he was not fasting. Radiallahu an as-sahaba. Now these days, they come as facilitation or preparation, I should say, to the following day, which is Eid al-Adha. أعظم الأيام عند الله, the most greatest day in the sight of Allah, يوم النحر, the day of النحر. يوم الحج الأكبر. يوم النحر, Prophet ﷺ, he said, يوم الحج الأكبر. The day of Qurbani is the day of the great Hajj. And also, Prophet ﷺ, he said, يوم العج والثج, the day of Takbir, Hajj, and Thaj means slaughtering. Allah said, وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ. So it's وَالْفَجْر, by the dawn. And here, the dawn of the day of Al-Adha. Again, he made an oath for the following verse, وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ, by the even. And the even here, the 10th day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made the Udhiyah is to be revival of what happened and took place at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam when he wanted to slaughter his son. And this Udhiyah is compulsory upon every person who is capable financially to bring the Udhiyah beside the money which is supposed to be, or you are in need for it, for your family. So if you have extra money, you have to have an Udhiyah every year. And this Udhiyah, it has to be in the Bahimat al-An'am. So we're going to be now talking about the Ahkam of Al-Udhiyah. Ahkam Al-Udhiyah, meaning the rules of the slaughtering. And then we'll go to the Eid prayer. Al-Udhiyah, it is compulsory also on the poor if he vowed it. So if he made a vow, alayya nadr, then it becomes compulsory, even if it's poor. You should not make a vow on yourself. And it is compulsory upon the one who is in charge of the family. Do you understand that? The person who is in charge of the family. So let's say the husband is in charge of the family, yet he is poor and his wife is rich. The Udhiyah is not compulsory. Do you understand? So the one who's in charge of the family, he is the one, if he's financially capable, then if he's financially capable, then it's upon him compulsory, regardless of his wife being poor or rich. And it is not correct for the wife to make an Udhiyah if her husband made an Udhiyah. But if she wishes to ask his permission to make a slaughtering, which is not compulsory because he's poor, remember, there's no problem. But if he made an Udhiyah, it's not good for her to make an Udhiyah. There's no competition here between the husband and the wife. If the son, who is the, you could say another responsible of another family, lives on his own and he's not under the expenditure of the father and he's financially capable, then slaughtering is compulsory also on him. So this udhiyah will only suffice the ones who are in your house. They are next of kin, that means you are their children, they are your wife, your father and your mother, and you are the one who is spending the money, so they are under your umbrella of expenditure. And thirdly, they are in the same house. So if your son, and let's say he's married to his wife, and they live in your house, and you are the one who's the father spending the money on your son and in his wife, and they live under one roof, then it's one udhiyah enough for everybody. For you and your wife and your children, including that son who has got his wife and maybe other children as well. But if he's separate and he's financially capable, then he has to make his own slaughtering. And it is compulsory upon the Hajj, just like it is compulsory upon him to make the Hadi. The one who does Hajj, okay, if he's making Hajj, all right, and he's got the Hadi, and he's got part of his family as well back home, then he does the Hadi, which is the Hadi for Hajj Tamattu or Hajj Qiran. That's called Hadi, sacrificial, different from the Udhiyah. And also he has to make the Udhiyah. Two, when he used to make. So if they are a family consisted of 7, boys and girls, wife, husband, 3 boys and 2 girls. So if they are making Udhiyah, 1 sheep is enough for them. Or 1 portion of 7 portions of the cow, or 1 portion out of 10 portions of the camel. But they're all of them going to Hajj, then each one has to slaughter a sheep, or the 7 of them can share a cow, 7 portions of the cow, or they could share a camel. And a camel here, in this case, is 7 shares for the Hadi. And they have an Udhiyah to be slaughtered, which is enough for all of them. So it's compulsory upon the Hajj, just like the Hadi. Now you're not allowed to combine 2 things in one. Let's say, for example, your Udhiyah happens to be the day which is the 7th day after the child of yours has been born. So you've got a boy or a girl. Girl is Aqiqah is 1, boy is 2, Aqiqah 2 sheep. And happens to be, it is the day of Al-Adha, the 7th day. Then I cannot combine and say that this is for Udhiyah and for what? Aqiqah. Each one has to be separate. You don't make a designated Udhiyah for a person who is dead. So your father is dead. He's included already in Udhiyah. But you can't just slaughter on his behalf an Udhiyah unless he left money and he made a will. Make an Udhiyah, slaughter it for me from that money. He who has the Udhiyah became compulsory upon him, whether he is rich or whether he's poor, but he vowed it, then he has to hold from cutting the hair, the nails, and the skin. From the moment they sight the beginning of the moon, the crescent, until the moment the slaughtering takes place. Not Salat al-Eid, has to be for the slaughtering to take place. And it's only on the person who is in charge, not on the members of the family. Now, if the person is going for Hajj and he has an Udhiyah to do, and he made the Umrah in the first days of Dhul Hijjah, and he's making Tamattu', he has to now leave the state of Ihram. So he has to what? Cut the hair. So in this case, he cuts the hair and there is no penalty upon him, even though there is a Udhiyah for him to be done. But in this case, he has to do what is compulsory and it will not be violation. If you did cut your hair, whether deliberately or not deliberately, or you cut your nails, it will not affect your Udhiyah. But you'll be sinned. You will be sinned. And the person should always keen to implement the sunnah. So once you get close to the beginning of the month, cut your nails, ya ikhwani. Sunnah la tu'akhar. It should not be delayed. One of the Salaf was seen preparing himself for the day of Jum'ah. So he was on Al-Khamis, Thursday, clipping his nails, preparing himself for the day of Jum'ah. So another person, he said, Jum'ah is tomorrow. He said, as-sunnah should not be delayed. Sunnah should not be delayed, being clean. If you were to be able just right now, let's say you were not able all these days to make the udhiyah, suddenly you have money now, you want to make the udhiyah, abstain from the moment, from now, until your udhiyah is being slaughtered. If you have done, for example, something for necessity, you have to cut your hair for necessity, lice or something like this, there's nothing on you. The udhiyah was made, as I said, to get closer to Allah and revival of Sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam. You're not allowed to say that I'm not going to make the udhiyah, but I'll use the money of the udhiyah and give it to the poor people. No, you have to slaughter because it is a sha'ira. Now this udhiyah should be in the bahimat al-an'am. Bahimat al-an'am is the camels and the likes, and the cows and the likes, and the sheep and the likes. Camel and llama. Cows, also the bulls, buffaloes, bison, all these are one family. The last one is the sheep, whether it's white or black, whether it's goats or sheep. Which one is better? They are in the following category. Number one, we say best is the camel, full camel. After that, below this is the cow, full cow. After this, the sheep or a goat. After this, 10th of the camel. Below this, 7th of the cow. So if you had an option by having a sheep or a goat on your own for your family, or sharing in 1/10 of a camel or 1/7 of a cow, go for the what? For the sheep on your own, okay? But if you want to do the whole camel for yourself, of course it's better. Always the male is better than the female. And the chubby is better than the thin, the more meat. The one who's got horns better than the one who's got no horns. The white is better than the black. And that is from the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah. And we said the male better than the female. We're not racist here. Or well, we were making the male better and we're slaughtering him. So we're sparing the female. So we're actually against the male. And as for the black and the white, it is to do with the white as in the sheep. You know, the sheep as in not the goats. But there are black sheep. But still the sheep is better than the what? The goats. And the goats, all of them black, but there are what? Goats which are like blonded, purple. Some sheep, like goats like that. But in general, we talk about the ghanam, which is the white, is better than the black, which is the goats. But we do have black sheep, but still is better than the what? The goats. Now, if this person had said that this is my slaughtering, my animal, my udhiyah, you purchased it today, like I purchased mine today, and it was stolen or got lost, I didn't find it the following day in the farm, then I have to replace it. I have to replace it. If I was about to slaughter it tomorrow, and then something had happened, the knife flicked and poked the eye, damaged it, because you're not allowed to slaughter a blind, one-eyed sheep for the udhiyah. It's no problem for the aqiqah, but not for the udhiyah. Then I have to as well replace it. Now I'm all allowed, if I got this sheep of mine, or the camel of mine, or the cow of mine, and had it before the udhiyah, I'm allowed to use the milk. Milk it and no problem, as long as I'm not affecting the meat. And I'm not allowed to take the wool off except if it's beneficial to it. I can swap it. Let's say I bought one today and I saw something which is better, and I'm allowed. But if I saw something similar or less, I'm not allowed to replace it. It has to be with what? Only better. You're not allowed to sell the meat of it once you slaughter it. You're not allowed to sell it. So as soon as you have said, this is my udhiyah, I cannot sell it. I cannot even sell the skin of it. Then if you had to sell the skin, then you have to give it as a sadaqah. But you cannot use it as a part of, for example, the wages of the butcher. You give him £5 or £10, £20 plus the skin. Not allowed. But you could give him the full money and then the skin is on top of it as a hadiyah, a gift, no problem. It is very recommended that the person eats from his udhiyah. Even some of the scholars, they said it's a must. Sheikh al-Fuzan, he said it's must. Here, am I allowed to slaughter in another country? If there is no poor people in the country that you're slaughtering? Well, correct opinion, it is permissible. But according to those who said you're not allowed to slaughter except in a place where you can eat from the meat, that means you have to eat from the udhiyah, like Sheikh al-Fuzan, then you're not allowed to slaughter it anywhere else except where you are. You see, we want the udhiyah to be done so that we could revive the sunnah where you are. When you ship it to somewhere else, this is like you are not really implementing the sunnah. Regardless of the excuse, I've got some poor people, I want to give the poor people, sadaqah. Give them meat and make them to slaughter sadaqah. But your udhiyah is a symbol. You need to show it to yourself and to your family. And look at it and see it. I wouldn't say that, I will not go to the saying that it is not going to be sufficing if you made your udhiyah outside this country, back home. Except for those, who said that you must eat from it, that's something else. But if you are capable, do two. One here and one where you think there are poor people. As long as you do it, not for showing off. As long as you do it, not for showing off. So if you want to do more than udhiyah, no problem, but not for the showing off that I made 2, and I made 3, and I made 4 udhiyah. Start boasting about it. The following are not to be sacrificial. One-eyed. Awra means blind or blind in one eye. That means you could see. I'm not going to take her to the doctor or the optician. You could see that there is something wrong with her eye. 1 or 2. Al-arja al-bayyin. So al-awra al-bayyinu awaruha. Al-awra, one-eyed or blind, where it is clear it's blind. You could see it. Second one, you're not allowed to do it, which is al-arja, limping. You could see it limping properly. And al-ajfa. Al-ajfa, she is like very thin, and she doesn't, very thin, and she doesn't know distinguish between the good food and bad food. So her brain is gone. And the last one, al-maridah, the sick. These are mentioned in one hadith. But there are other things as well. If you see them, you're not allowed to take that as an udhiyah. For example, one which is her ears are being shot to such an extent that most of the ear is gone. Then you're not allowed to make an udhiyah. Or the one which is being born without ears, not allowed to have an udhiyah. Anything that would affect the meat. Also, the one who eats poo, bad food. If he keeps eating bad food, like call it al-jallala, I'm not allowed to make an udhiyah unless I lock it up for a few days, just for good food until it cleans its digesting system. I'm not allowed to make an udhiyah with a sheep which has got no tongue. Or it's got anything that is a defect in it. No problem to make an udhiyah with castrated animal. The testicle has been removed because we call it the khisya, makhsi, meaning they've been muted. They do that. Why they do that? Because the meat will be much bigger. Because the sheep will start focusing upon what? Food rather than to focus upon mating. No problem with no teeth, so you don't have to take her to the dentist. No problem with the horn broken, because nothing to do with the meat. Even the horn is not there, no problem. As for the age, it's important. As for the white, Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Jadha. Al-Jadha min al-Dhan. Al-Jadha, which is 6 months upwards. Okay? It is actually 1 year upward, but it's permissible for 6 months upwards. Because it's to do with the linguistic, the lugha, ahlul lugha. What would they say about the al-jadha? Al-thani, which is 2 years and upwards, but it's no problem, it's 1 year upwards. The baqar, actually the ma'iz, the goats, I think it is 2 years and they cannot take it less than 2 years. So the white sheep, it has to be over the 6 months. How do I know? The experts will know. I remember Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen regarding 6 months of the ghanam, of the sheep. He said if you see the wool pointed, that means it's young. But if you see the wool is being combed on top of that, then it is over the 6 months. The thani from the baqar means 2 years from the cows, and the ibil minimum is 5 years old. Some people, they give meat to the Prophet ﷺ, is not correct. As for dividing the meat, portion for you, portion for the poor, and portion to give to your relatives, I mean, there's no such thing that you have to divide it into threes. The more you give to the poor, of course, the more you're rewarded, but don't forget yourself. We said 10 in the camel, 7 in the cow, and 1 in the sheep or the goats. 10 in the camel means 10 families. A family could be 100 people, Allahu Akbar. A person who's married to 4 wives is one family. Okay, it's one family. The traveler, he would make an udhiyah as long as it is not difficult for him. Nobody is to make an udhiyah on behalf of somebody else except with his permission. So if you want to make an udhiyah on behalf of your father, if your father did not say yes, did not know about it, it will not reach him. No problem to save that meat more than 3 days, unless there is poor people. There is poor people, don't save it. Keep the meat within the 3 days to the poor people. If there is no poor people, no problem to put it in the fridge or the freezer. The slaughtering is after Salat al-Eid. Unless the Imam is making his own slaughtering in the Musalla, then I can't slaughter before him. I have to slaughter after him. It doesn't happen these days, of course. And this time extends all the way up to the sunset of the 3rd day after the Eid al-Adha. That means you've got Eid al-Adha and the following 3 days, till the sunset of the 3rd day of Tashriq, which is 3rd day after Eid al-Adha. So you've got 4 days for slaughtering. The etiquettes of slaughtering: number 1, sharpen the knife, but don't sharpen it in front of the sheep. Number 2, make sure that you're strong. We don't want a kid to use the knife, and you can't do it. Number 3, face the Qibla. Make the sheep to face the Qibla. Number 4, to put the sheep on its side. Okay, so you could hold it and then towards the Qibla. So if you are putting it towards this area, okay, this is the Qibla. So you put the sheep where the head is there and you slaughter it. Okay? If you put it this way on the right side, no problem, but I don't know if are you right-handed or left-handed? If you're left-handed, you could do it. When you slaughter, you go forward and backwards, so that you could really make sure that it's, subhanAllah, the veins, they straight away, they will go. Don't slaughter the animal in front of another animal. You say, Allahumma hadha anni wa an ahli bayti. This is for me and for my family. So you start saying, this is for me, Allahumma, this is, oh Lord, this is for me and for my family. Bismillah. And you could add Allahu Akbar. The most important thing is what? Bismillah. So Allahumma hadi anni wa an ahli bayti, Bismillah, and you could add Allahu Akbar. And this is for every slaughtering that you do. If you're doing more than one, you should say this in every slaughtering that you do. It's not enough to say it once for more than slaughtering. And when you slaughter, and you make the when you make the tasmiyah, saying Bismillah and Allahu Akbar, when you slaughter, you can't say it well before and then you slaughter. When you slaughter, it is disliked to cut the head. That means you just keep slaughtering until you go to the region. No, slaughter and wait, and then you could do whatever you like. But don't go all the way. Just slaughter and wait. It dies. If you have slaughtered it from the back, like this, not from here, and this sheet did not move before you reach the area of the veins, then means that the dead animal, you can't eat it. If it moved while you're slaughtering before you reach this, and it's okay, but it's haram because no good. It's tortured the animal. If you forgotten the saying Bismillah, no problem. No problem. If you forgotten, it's no problem. Based upon the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, we appreciate that some scholars, they say you can't eat it, like Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen. It is to slaughter, the best sunnah is to do it yourself. If you can't, then let somebody else and you look at it. Okay? And make sure that he's a Muslim. As to deputize somebody else and appoint somebody who's non-Muslim, like one which is not from Ahl Kitab, it will not be halal. But if you did somebody who's Christian or Jew, it is disliked to deputize him to do it, but it is still permissible to eat. The women can slaughter, the youth can slaughter. As for the blind, it's not recommended because he could be harming the animal. If you have slaughtered an animal and you found a baby inside cup, and he died, then the slaughtering of the mother is the slaughtering of the cup. But if you slaughtered the mother and the cup came out alive, then you need to slaughter the cup if you need to eat him. Otherwise, you could just whatever. But if you want to eat him, you have to slaughter him. If you did not slaughter him and he died, then you can't eat him. But if he came out dead, don't worry, because you slaughtered the mother. طيب. Alhamdulillah, these are the things to do with the Udhiyah. Now we're coming back to the things which are related to. By the way, as a bonus, I'll give you as well the ahkam of sayd. Sayd means hunting. In terms of saying Bismillah. The Bismillah in the slaughtering, the Udhiyah or the Hadi, is you are saying Bismillah on the animal. You're not saying Bismillah on the tool. As for the hunting, you're saying Bismillah on the weapon, not on the hunt. It's an important issue here because if it is not the case, it will be very difficult. So if, for example, the Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, I know that Bismillah is on the weapon when I hunt. So I'm hunting now and I'm shooting a rabbit or a pigeon. I said Bismillah. So I got the pigeon and I got a rabbit somewhere because of the bullets, they scatter. So my Bismillah is not on that pigeon. My Bismillah is on what? On the weapon. Regardless of what it shoots, what it kills, it's halal. But if it wasn't on the weapon, that means only the pigeon is halal and the rabbit is not halal. Okay? Whereas the slaughtering of the Udhiyah is on the sheep itself. So if I said Bismillah on the sheep, I need to say another Bismillah on another sheep. My Bismillah on this one is not going to suffice for the other one. Okay. Question. I'm about to slaughter the animal. I said, Bismillah. Looked at the knife, it's blunt or small. So the person just gave me a better knife. Do I need to say Bismillah again? Yes or no? Come on, Ikhwani, you have listened or you haven't listened? Come on, yes or no? No. Why? So the animal. Right. I'm pointing my gun onto the pigeon. I see the pigeon there. I said, Bismillah. The pigeon is too far. I think I need a rocket launcher. A bigger weapon. So I brought that bigger weapon. Do I need to say Bismillah? Yes, because it's what? In the weapon. It's not on the knife. See the difference here? And this is hikmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah hikmah. طيب. I am saying Bismillah on the sheep. I'm about to slaughter it. Udhiyah. I looked, so that other sheep is better and bigger for me. I'm going to change. Do I need to say Bismillah or not? Yes or no, Ikhwani? Yes. Well, I'm just checking. If you have separated between your Bismillah and the slaughtering, with something which is acceptable. Somebody you said Bismillah, somebody says Salamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. No problem. Okay? But because it is a small gap. But if you said Bismillah, call is from the wife. Hello, yes, dear, all right, yeah. Shopping will be soon, inshallah, and all of that. Put the phone down. I need to say what? Bismillah again. The close sequence is called. It's been invalidating what your Bismillah. طيب. I am slaughtering. I forgot to say Bismillah. This person is next to me. Bismillah akhi. Somebody else said Bismillah. And I slaughtered. Is his Bismillah enough? No, it's not enough. It has to be from whom? From me. So the conditions for saying Bismillah, it has to be said, number one, from the person who's slaughtering. As I said, it's no problem if he forgot. But if he remembered now, he cannot suffice himself with what? The Bismillah of the next. It's very important, Ikhwani. Do you know why? So somebody's slaughtering a lot of animals and he's putting a tape recorder, Bismillah, 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 Bismillah. It's not allowed. They do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Bismillah, 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 Bismillah. It has to be the person who's slaughtering saying Bismillah. I cannot just say Bismillah. So it has to be me who's saying Bismillah, 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 not a machine. I'm doing like this and the machine saying Bismillah. A recorder. My phone is saying Bismillah. And it's a chicken, for example. طيب. So if somebody said Bismillah and is quiet, it's not going to be halal. It has to be Bismillah or any name of Allah. But Bismillah has got the priority. So if he said Bismil Kareem, Bismil Rahim, Bismil Rahman, no problem. But it's better to say what? Bismillah. Because Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Kareem, all of that, Allah's name, subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's your bonus for that. Coming now to Salat al-Eid. Salat al-Eid, Ikhwani. What time is the adhan? 20? 25. Oh, subhanallah. Salat al-Eid. Ya Ikhwani, Salat al-Eid. Difference among the scholars, whether it is compulsory or not. I follow the scholars who say it is compulsory. Salatul Eid, because of number of issues. The Prophet ﷺ, according to Mu'tiyah, Amarana Rasulullah ﷺ. The Prophet of Allah commanded us. So if he commanded us, it becomes compulsory, not just on the men, even on the women. It's not like the Jumu'ah. Prophet ﷺ, he commanded them even to bring out the women who never come out from the house except to go to marry. That's it. So we say, correct opinion, it is compulsory to go to Salat al-Eid. That's number one. And the Prophet ﷺ even threatened من لم يضحي من كان ذا ساعة ولم يضحي فلا يقربن مصلانا. He was got capability financially to slaughter, yet he does not slaughter, then let him not approach our musalla. So that means both the Eid Salah and also the slaughterings to be compulsory. And as I said, this is controversial among the scholars. The Salat al-Eid, the Prophet ﷺ, all the time he had done it. All the time he had done it. He commanded also even the menstruating women not to do salah, just to come for the gathering. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. It was said to Salat al-Eid. Slaughter. Pray to your Lord and slaughter. It was said to Salat al-Eid. And the very important proof to say that it is compulsory, that when it combines between the day of Jum'ah, we said the Eid suffices for the what? The Jum'ah. So if it suffices for the Jum'ah, that means it has to be strong, as strong as the what? The Jum'ah. Because if it's not as strong, it will not make the Jum'ah to be dropped. We said if the person came to Salat al-Eid on that Eid al-Fitr, if you remember, it happened to be Jum'ah, then he doesn't have to come to the Jum'ah prayer. And as for praying Dhuhr, is controversial among the scholars. طيب. The etiquette of Eid. Number one, to put the best of clothes, new. Number two, if it's Eid al-Fitr, to eat before you go. As for Eid al-Adha, before you leave, you don't eat unless you don't have an Udhiyah. So if you have an Udhiyah, it's going to be slaughtered in the morning very soon, don't eat until you eat from the Udhiyah. But if it's going to be delayed, no, you don't have to fast that day. Shouldn't fast, you're not allowed to fast the day. Also, al-ightisal, making a wash, it is recommended. Also, to come to the musalla, not to the masjid, unless it is raining or something which, not allowing you to go outside. Snowing, raining, wind, whatever. The women and the men will go, including the children. And to go from one route and return from a different route. So alternate in the routes that you go and come forward. And by going and coming back. Salat al-Eid time now. This is an important issue, especially now when we have Salat al-Eid during the summer. So the sun rises really early. It's before 5 o'clock. 4:45 is the sun rising. You know that. 4:45, the sun rises before 5 o'clock. So what is the sunnah? The sunnah as follows. Eid al-Fitr is to be prayed later than the time of Eid al-Adha. Why? Anybody want to tell me why? Eid al-Fitr later. Yes? No. Eid al-Fitr is to be done later from the sunrise. Where Eid al-Adha is to make it early. Why Eid al-Adha to make it early? Because it's slaughter, you want to eat. What about otherwise being delayed? Come on, you should know it. Because what? No, there's something attached to the Ramadan. Come on. There's something that you do. Zakat al-Fitr, ya akhwani. To give more time to give Zakat al-Fitr. That's why it's been delayed. To give more time to give Salat Zakat al-Fitr. So the sunnah is that Salat al-Fitr is to be done when the sun is above the horizon by 2 spears. Spear is about 2 meters height. A spear is 2 meters height, okay, which is not known. And as for the Salat al-Adha, so this Salat al-Adha, 1 spear, Salat al-Fitr, 2 spears. In time-wise, what is that? 15 minutes after sunrise. Salat Eid al-Adha, ikhwani. And as for Eid al-Fitr, 30 minutes. 2. So 15 minutes. This is when the time when Salat al-Duha starts. You know when you are in the masjid and you pray to the 2 rak'ah. After sitting in the masjid, you pray them about 15 minutes after sunrise. That's the sunnah. That's why Abdullah ibn Busr, radiyallahu anhu warda, He went one day with the people on the day of Eid al-Fitr. That was at the time after the Khulafa. So he had complained and objected on the Imam being slow to perform Salat al-Eid. He said, "Inna kunna ala ahdi Rasulullah sallam qad faragna sa'atana hadi." The time of the Prophet of Allah, at the time when the Imam is about to start the Eid prayer, we already finished Eid and what? And khutbah. Now the Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, because the brothers, I don't know why they're making this. They're making it so late. So late, 4 hours, 5 hours. Some of them is 9:30 the Salat al-Eid. Imagine there is no clouds. They're going to be cooking in the sun. They're going to be cooking in the sun because we're talking about summer, ikhwani. In the winter, subhanallah, your sun rises about 8 o'clock. So no problem to have it 8:30 and 9 o'clock. In the winter, sun rises 8 o'clock. Or 7:30, by 8 o'clock it will come to. Even 8 something, after 8. But during the summer, ikhwani, from 4:45 to, let's say, 8 o'clock, how much is that? 3 hours and 15 minutes. That's like dhuhr for the companions. Too late. Today, Jazakallah khairan, somebody showed me brothers who are not masjids. They're brothers, mashallah. They're Albanians, trying to apply the sunnah as much as they can. Their Salat al-Eid, I don't know where it is in NW. What's NW? No, Northwest NW, the postcode. I bought it here. I was a screenshot from the brother just now. 6 o'clock. I was so impressed with that. I've never seen people do 6 o'clock. It's always what? 7, 8, 9, and even 9:30. One brother's called 9:30, wallahi. And he's Imam of the Sunnah. He said, I can't do nothing. I can do nothing about it. Once the admin, they don't understand the Sunnah, that's what is happening. The one who runs the masjid. Ikhwani, the Sunnah is to make it as early as possible. And it's more convenient for the people. What are you accommodating for the lazy ones? The lazy ones who don't get up even before Jummah? Sunnah more important. The lazy ones, don't let them sleep. But the people who are keen, the ones who won't work. And in this country we work. So some people, they find it difficult to take what? A break. So if they make it for them 6 o'clock, that's well before their work. 7 o'clock, still good for them. 8, starting work, they have to have a break now. Some of them, they can't give them even, I know this, most of the jobs will give you, but the better it is, the more better it is. The earlier it is, the better it is. So I could finish my Udhiyah, by 9 o'clock I'm finished, I'm making barbecue for my Udhiyah, slaughtering, and 9 o'clock I'm finished. But now I'm finishing I'm a khatib as well. Against my will, they made it 9 o'clock. Against my will. I couldn't really, I was going to pull out and go somewhere else with these maybe the brothers here, but they don't have a khatib. I want to have an early prayer upon the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. In our back home countries, no way you will have more than half an hour. Yeah, brother? Where is in Somalia? How it's early?
So early.
Huh? So early. The people of the Fajr, they will stay in the Fajr and they're making takbir all the way. All the way. Make takbir until the Salah finishes. Here everybody sleep after the Fajr. Because they got 3 hours, mashallah. Some of them got 4 hours. Really late, ya akhwani. So the ones who runs the message have to fear Allah, implementing this sunnah. Abdullah ibn Busr, radiyallahu an, this hadith, Shaykh al-Albani is authentic. He saw that the people at the time of maybe the era after Ali ibn Abi Talib, he saw them coming, so the Imam is delaying Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha. He said, what is this? At the time of the Prophet of Allah, we finished already by the time the Imam is going to start now. And we're talking about here maybe a delaying of 15 or half an hour, not delaying of 4 hours. And tomorrow, inshallah, in my khutbah, I will address this issue. We have to kill this bid'ah of making it 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, yes, in winter, but not now. Ikhwani, it has to be early. This is the sunnah. This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Revive the sunnah. Just like we revive it when we go outside to the musalla. Do we make adhan for the Eid? No adhan, no iqamah. Eid prayer is as follows, consists of 2 rak'ah. But these 2 rak'ah, they have different takbir. The first one, we have takbir al-ihram and then 7 takbirat after that. Second one, second rak'ah, takbir of the raising up and then 5 extra takbirs. So this is the one that most of the people will do. But there is others as well, which is authentic as well. There is 4 takbirs. Here we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He made 4 takbir and 4 takbir. So the takbir can be 4 as well. Just like it was on the janazah, there's 4 takbirs. On the Eid, there's 4 takbirs as well. So our Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he says, regarding the takbir of the Eidain, he who wishes to make 4, according to this hadith, and he wishes to make 7 in the first and 5 in the second, according to the other hadith, no problem inshallah. Whatever he did is no harm, because the Ahnaf, they do different takbirs. And we should not really be so tight regarding this issue, because we have more than one narration. And the takbir is sunnah, by the way. So if something had happened to it, he forgot the imam, it does not invalidate the prayer. Whether he left it for forgetting or even deliberately didn't do it, it does not invalidate the Eid prayer. Fatiha, the first rak'ah, and سبح اسم ربك الأعلى, second rak'ah. And also it's been narrated, first rak'ah اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, second rak'ah قاف والقرآن المجيد. So both are to be as well accepted. Do you pray something else? أو الأذان? Yes, تفضل. بسم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
Got enough, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Come here. This one.
حي على الفلاح
حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. طيب. Does he raise up his hands in the takbirat al-Eid, the extra ones? There's no authentic narrations regarding this, so we don't raise up our hands in takbirat al-Eid. Also, the people behind, they should not be raising up their voice like normally they do in the takbirat. They should be quiet. Just make takbir with the lips. Some people, they do it, so loud. They're going, like, for example, for jihad or whatever. It's not correct. And khutbat al-Eid is to be after the prayer, not before. And it's only one khutbah. It's not like the khutbah of the Jumu'ah where the Imam would sit down and then stand up. Khutbah al-Eid to be started as well with khutbah al-Hajjah. And there's no, as well, you could make takbir within it, but not to start it with the takbir. To start it with khutbah al-Hajjah. And the takbir could be as well within it. If the person had missed Salat al-Eid, no problem, he could pray once he, if for example, him and his family, he could pray it at home, no problem, with the same thing, 7 takbirs and 5 takbirs or 4 is no problem. So he could pray it if he had missed it, not deliberately, of course. And also in the Eid, there is concession here for the people to, play and do things that normally they don't do. And the Prophet ﷺ, he let those youth to play in the masjid by throwing their javelins and their spears. And Aisha was enjoying looking at them when they were doing that. So no problem, inshallah, if the people took them to theme parks and to the children and make them to enjoy themselves. By the way, it's getting really warm here, Ikhwani. Are you going to just have a fan? Can we have a fan, Ikhwani, please? It's really hot. I'm sweating now. Yeah. Point that helicopter towards me. Useless. They don't move, this is just one direction. Stuck. The one who bought them, Allah al-Musta'an. Bulky. Really hot. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was 2 girls, with Aisha radiallahu anha. They had the deaf as well, and they were singing. After the Eid prayer, it is recommended for the people to congratulate one another for the Eid, saying تقبل الله منا ومنكم, any words, تقبل الله منكم صالح الأعمال, but not to say كل عام وأنتم بخير. This is a saying which is designated, yes, nice, which is designated to the disbelievers. Happy New Year and all of that. This is not for the Muslims. But any other than that, تقبل الله, عيدك مبارك, any words of the Islamic words, no problem, inshallah. Allah يجعلك من عواده. طيب, the takbir regarding Eid al-Fitr is from the moment you come out of the house in the morning until you reach the musalla. And when the Imams start his prayer, you stop the takbir. Okay, and as for Eid al-Adha, it starts from the first night that we sight the Hilal del Hijjah. Okay, start from the night that we sight the Hilal of the Hijjah. It keeps going all the way until the 3rd day of Tashriq, the sunset of the 3rd days of Tashriq. But also there is more specific takbir here, which starts from the Fajr of Eid al-Arafah, like from this, for the dawn of this today, until the sunset of the last day. Ibn Umar, Abu Hurairah used to go to the market in the first 10 days of Hijjah, and they used to make takbir, and the people make takbir along with them. But you should not be synchronizing deliberately to make the takbir. As for the takbir, what do you say? Well, any takbir, inshallah, will be sufficing. There's no specification of which takbir, but there are some takbir being narrated from some of the companions. Like Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. That is authentic. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. Like this. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. There's others as well. Allahu Akbar kabira, Allahu Akbar wa ajal, Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. So Salman al-Farisi takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. Salman al-Farisi. Hadith, Takbir Abdullah ibn Abbas, Allahu Akbar kabira, Allahu Akbar wa ajal, Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. Takbir Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, which is not authentic. But no problem. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd, which is most of the people they do. But what the people they do is after the prayer, they make it 3 times and they stop. Or after each, making voluntary prayer, they make once and stop. This is not from the Sunnah, ya ikhwani. By this, alhamdulillah, we have finished everything regarding 3 things here: Arafah, the Udhiyah, and also the Eid. And as a bonus, we have mentioned as well the hunting. We will stop here. Jazakumullah khairan, and do the prayer bi-idhnillah. No questions, because 10 minutes is finished. No continuation. خلاص. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.